Thank you for joining us today at Miniature Wargaming Labs. Today, we'll be looking at the Blackstone Fortress Annual 2019. Now this is a 72-page booklet that covers all the inserts regarding Blackstone Fortress that you could find in the White Dwarf magazines from December 2018 to December 2019. So this is actually a really good compilation of all the other Blackstone Fortress resources you're not going to find in the standard box sets. So it collects them all in one place. Now what's nice about this booklet and some of the rules that it includes is that Blackstone Fortress is ideally played with 4 players. There's no need for a game master. But let's say you have a 5th friend. You have that many friends and you want to include the 5th guy with you. Well, the 5th guy becomes the hostile player. He takes over the baddies, the chaos players, the various beastmen running around, death guard, whatever escalation you're up to, he takes those over. So what this annual includes is rules for allowing the hostile player to have more agency in the game, to allow him more things to do in the game, so it makes it more fun for him. But also they have rules in here called Strike Force. And so that's if you're playing games where you only have 3, 2, or even 1 person, there's specialized rules in here for what to do if you only have 1. Now, in most games, if we don't have the full 4 complement, we just take over 4 characters. This allows you rules for saying, well, if you only run with 1 guy down into the Blackstone Fortress, there's some extra dice you can play with to give him a little bit of an advantage out there. So there's also rules in here for what else can you do in Precipice. So you spend all this time in Blackstone Fortress, you come back to Precipice, you want to trade, but let's say you want to have a little fun. There's rules for how to play in a tavern, a gambling den, a trading post, also the slums. And if you decide to do that, you can end up, I don't know, dying or getting extra discovery or resource cards. So it's a little fun extra thing. You've done trading, you want to kick around town, they've got rules for that. They also have new retinue characters. So we saw in the escalation box, you get an extra retinue character to run around with. This includes rules for 4 new retinue characters. So an Ogren and a Bulgrin, an Arcoflagellant, and a Flashgitz Orc. So they also have adventures that you can go into the Blackstone Fortress to go pick up those guys and make them part of your crew. Now, what's different about that is most times you're playing games in Blackstone Fortress, it wants you to end a quest before you start another quest, before you do anything different. To collect retinue characters, it actually calls them side treks. So you know what, you're having a little problem in the fortress, go down, pick yourself up a Flashgitz Orc, he'll be your mercenary and help you out as you clear through the fortress. Now there's also rules in here for Army of One. Now those familiar with Shadow War Armageddon remember the idea of taking Sly Marlborough and beating everyone up, one-man army. Blackstone Fortress introduces that, but in this case they use a Harlequin Solitaire. So he's a character that's way more powerful than any of the other characters, not really meant for quests, but a lot of fun if you're doing a solo game and you only want 1 super powered model, go down in the fortress and beat the heck out of stuff that you find down there. Now an extra rule that you find in this is a chapter on how to make the Abominable Intellect cards harder. Now that was the first expansion card deck that we reviewed on this channel, and the idea of making the Abominable Intellect cards harder is crazy talk. So just ignore that part. That's because Blackstone Fortress is hard enough to play as it is. Abominable Intellect makes it almost impossible to make it through a single expedition. The idea of making Abominable Intellect harder, I don't know who's going to make it through. That'd be more of, hey, let's try this once and see how quickly we can die. So just walk away. Don't even look. Tape it up. There's also 3 new quests that come in here. The first one is Light in the Dark. Now these are your Inquisition, Adeptus Minister, your priest. So the Fat Pope and his little flame buddy sidekick, Pius Vorn and Thaddeus the Purifier. The idea of this one's pretty interesting in that it's an adventure that takes place before the main quest of Blackstone Fortress box. So when you play this quest, it's just Thaddeus and Pius Vorn going together down to the Blackstone Fortress trying to purify the heretics. So an interesting little throwaway game. Now you also have a new adventure in here involving the Amble. So if you bought the dreaded Amble expansion and you've already run it through there, you've introduced it into your card deck, so every once in a while the Amble pops up. This is actually a 7-step adventure of where you've got to go down into the Blackstone Fortress, find the dreaded Anvil, lure him back to a secret chamber that he's the only one that can penetrate. He punches through there, and then you get the fun of beating up all the chaos people you find in there. And then the last step is dealing with the dreaded Anvil that you brought it into this enclosed space with you. So that's a pretty good quest to add on if you've already bought the dreaded Anvil. I like that idea of I get more use out of the dreaded Anvil once I buy this compilation. The final quest is Wrath of the Daemonkin. So that's going to be a 5-level adventure. You're going to get new chaos characters to go up against. So you're going to get a Master of Possession and 2 Greater Possessed Chaos Marines to mix in with your Chaos Force already. Now, if you want to do that and you want to use those models, that means you've got to go out and buy the Chaos Space Marine starter box to get those 3 extra models. Or you use Salt Shakers. At the end of the day, you already have the rules and the player cards in the book. Do you have to use the models, or can you substitute something in? For 95 bucks, I could probably substitute something and that'll probably work just fine. But I have to say, at $25, given all the extra rules you could throw in there, mechanics, extra quests, and I already have everything else, at 25 bucks, considering everything else is 60 bucks or higher, this is probably the best buy that I've seen for Blackstone Fortress. So even if you have just the base box and nothing else, you probably go ahead and pick this book up because it's a really good buy at the price point. So thank you for joining us today at Miniature Wargaming Labs. We'll see you next time.